Well, that is a London derby at its finest. Chelsea versus Tottenham finishes 2-2. And let's get it out of the way. Chelsea outclassed Tottenham just there. I have no like ties with any side. I don't support either. I support Liverpool, but Chelsea, just so you know, I'm not being biased. Chelsea were the better side throughout the game. First half, especially, none of Tottenham's front three even got a kick first half. Son, Kane, and Kulusevski were kept very quiet by Chelsea's defence. And I say that, but I think the main thing about Chelsea today was that the midfield too of Jorginho and Kante, and also players like Loftus Cheek and Cucurella and Reece James as well. They just ran the show, especially first half. Koulibaly also had a great game and scored a great goal. That goal was just incredible. However, with how good the goal was, it is important to remember that that is shocking marking from Tottenham. If you're doing zonal marking, right, yes, you want about five or six of your players to be, just like marking an area, not a player. But you need a couple just to like follow like the main threats. Koulibaly is going to be a main threat for Chelsea. He's massive. He's going to be a threat of getting his head on the ball when it comes in. But no one picks him up at the back post. Heung-min Son and Emerson Royale couldn't decide between them who was going to pick him up, and in the end, he was left free. So poor defending, but a great volley by Koulibaly. And yeah, as I say, Chelsea were just so dominant first half, and so much the better side. Just kept hold of the ball really well and just played some brilliant football. Kai Havertz had a great game too, and same with Raheem Sterling. Second half, Tottenham made a change early on in the half, bringing on Richarlison, and that was very much needed. A change of plan was needed, and they reverted to a four at the back briefly, and that helped them get back into the game. Their goal, it was a good goal by Højbjerg. It took a little deflection off Koulibaly on the way through, which just took it away from Mendy in the end. However, if we're being true to ourselves, it was a foul on Kai Havertz by who was it? I think it was Bentancur. So it probably shouldn't have counted, but it was too far back to be disallowed. And I do like, from what I've seen, I do like what VAR are doing this season. They are limited, if unless it's directly within like the build up to the goal, they are like not disallowing it. So I prefer that partly. And also today, what was really nice was the fact that Anthony Taylor, the referee, was just letting a lot more go. That every time there was like a foul where it was like, is it really? He let it go, which I like, because unless you're sure it's a foul, it should not be a foul. It's like the justice system, isn't it? If you're guilty of committing a crime, in this case a foul, you're innocent until proven guilty. You don't just go, oh, I think he's guilty, so I'm going to give a foul, do you? So I do partly like that. I don't know if what I've just said makes any sense whatsoever, but I'm going to go with it. Yeah, it was a good strike by Højbjerg, in all fairness. And it did come just after I said I think Basuma needs to be brought on in this Tottenham midfield just to get a bit more control. So that shut me up very quickly. I didn't, in fairness to myself, I didn't say that he needed to come on for Højbjerg though. But yeah, Tottenham looked a lot more threatening with the four up front. But then Chelsea, they were very much lifted by the crowd, and that was partly down to just Tuchel and Conte coming to blows a little bit. A bit of a one-on-one on the touchline, and both got booked for it. And yeah, it is nice to see like the passion that's in this game. Sort of, I know with the conditions, with like the heat that's going on, especially in London, it'll be boiling there at the moment. Like it was nice to see them just desperate both to win. They are two managers who hate losing. Um, but yeah, Chelsea they went the right way about trying to get back in front, and they managed to do so. Koulibaly and Cucurella both on that left hand side. Sort of teamed up a little bit on, I think it might have been Heung-min Son, and won the ball back. And yeah, it got played to Sterling, who laid it off to James. It wasn't the greatest finish ever from James. He put it fairly straight down the middle, but it was that close range that if Lloris dives, he can't really do anything about it. Um, and yeah, at that point you're thinking, okay, Chelsea should see this through from here. Um, there was a bit of like a back and forth between Havertz and Romero going on as well. But towards the end of the game, Tottenham were putting a bit of pressure on for pretty much the first time in the entire game, really, that there was any sort of sustained pressure from Tottenham. Because the goal came out of nowhere a little bit. They weren't building up any pressure during that period when they scored. But towards the end of the game, they got a few corners. I think Christian Romero was very lucky to stay on the pitch, personally, for what he did to Cucurella. I think if you're doing something like that, in this case, grabbing his hair and just throwing him to the floor, it's out of order. So for me, the fact that they VAR'd it and nothing was done about it, I thought was wrong, to be honest, because you should be punished for doing something like that. Or at least like even if he's not given a yellow or a red, at least like a free kick or something. I didn't. Well, no, it's not in play, is it? I suppose, but something should have been done to like punish Romero for that, in my opinion. But yeah, Tottenham then got a goal from the very next corner. Harry Kane flicking it towards the back post, and Reece James got a touch on it. It was hard to tell if it was going in straight from Harry Kane's head, but Reece James unfortunately made sure that it did go in. And yeah, it finished 2-2, and then after the game it all kicked off again between Tuchel and Conte. For me, I thought, like, now when you think of Antonio Conte, you think of someone who's very passionate, who sometimes can boil over a little bit. For me, but watching this, I thought it was Thomas Tuchel today who was the main what's the word? Antagonizer, I guess. He like when Chelsea went back in front, he did his best Jose Mourinho impression, running down the touchline straight past Antonio Conte. So yeah, he seemed to be the main cause of most of the problems. And when they shook hands, one of them wouldn't let go. I'm going to assume it was Thomas Tuchel, because he seemed to be fuming at the end of the game, and they both got sent off. And yeah, that's it really. But yeah, it was a very good game, brilliant game to watch. And yeah, these two are going to be two teams fighting out for a top four spot come the end of the season, because at the moment it's looking like there's going to be three teams going for the third and fourth place in the league at the moment. It seems there's a top two, and then there's three teams beneath that, so a top five in total, because Manchester United just looks so far off the pace at the moment. Yeah, but brilliant game to watch. I thought Chelsea were the better side, but Tottenham managed to somehow get a point out of it. I thought some of the substitutions that Conte made were very intelligent and smart at times in response to what happened in the game. Like, for example, bringing Perisic on towards the end, someone who is going to, be able to keep a cool head when there might be a feeling of desperation throughout the Tottenham team. But yeah, Tottenham have managed to do what they set out to do, get something from the game. But yeah, Chelsea also did have a few chances which they probably should have scored from. Havertz has got to score the one that came in from the right-hand side, and he's come on the volley, and he's got half the goal to aim at, but still puts it wide. And Sterling also had a decent chance as well. But yeah, Chelsea dominated. That's the main thing, to be honest. And I think a lot of people were expecting Tottenham to be the dominant side today, because there seems to be a lot more people who think that Tottenham are going to finish above Chelsea this season. I've been sort of angling towards that myself, but I predicted today that Chelsea were going to win 2-0, because I thought, Tottenham very rarely get something at Stamford Bridge, but they've done well to get something out of today's game. Anyway, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.